Well, good morning, everybody. On behalf of Ausbil, I'd like to welcome you all to the 18th Annual AXI Conference. It's great to be here virtually at least, showcasing, discussing and furthering the critical work on ESG and sustainable investing, especially at a time such as this. As a fund manager that has integrated ESG across our strategies, it's been a very busy year, and you do feel like we are seeing an acceleration in awareness and action in the country and within the industry towards sustainable investing, better sustainable policy and targets. To this end, I'd like to touch briefly on 4 areas. Firstly, with regard to climate, notwithstanding the absence of progressive federal public policy in the area and the global challenge in front of us, there are some positive signs despite this. Renewable energy, for example, has significantly increased in recent years. Prices for renewables are falling and are becoming more competitive. Additionally, the states have been far more progressive than the federal government and are working increasingly towards zero emission and renewable targets. We're also seeing climate-related financial disclosures through the TCFD regime provide improved information for investors, and we expect to see more breadth and consistency in this over time. Secondly, in terms of modern slavery, the Act requirements are now in place, and many organisations have provided their first statements. We believe this initiative will greatly improve the understanding and awareness of modern slavery risks for businesses in Australia, with some global effect, especially with a focus on supply chains. This applies to companies directly in their operations, but importantly, also through the investments that are made by super funds and investment managers. Ausbil has voluntarily produced our first statement, and we are pleased to continue our leadership in the area, including working with the government. Central to Ausbil's assessment of risk exposure is to have a wide human rights perspective rather than just focusing on a tight definition of modern slavery in isolation. In our view, there are often a fine line between what legally constitutes modern slavery as defined in the Act and other types of exploitative labour conditions. Thirdly, regarding Indigenous rights and respect for the history and culture of First Nations, you would like to think as a society we have made significant progress since the environmental disaster of BHP's Octedi came to light in 1984 and the impact it had on the local communities. However, Rio's destruction of the Juukan Gorge caves that claimed the scalps of their chair and CEO says otherwise. I think this issue has been a wake-up call for all business to review and rethink how they interact with Indigenous Australians and their culture and history. And then finally, there is proxy advice in the recent inquiry. Proxy advice is a valued third-party sounding board and a means to maintaining accountability with the boards and management of listed companies. The current system appears to provide this. We believe there is a valid place for proxy advice in Australia's corporate governance, and although there is always room for review, we hope the outcome of this review is beneficial for all investors. Finally, I would like to wish Ian all the best in his future endeavours. His leadership within Australian Super and across the industry has been exceptional and unwavering. His part in generating excellent long-term returns for members within a strong governance framework is something we can all aspire to emulating. Please enjoy the conference, and I hope to see you next year in person. Thank you.